Hi, I'm Marin. Welcome back to my channel, Marin Makes It. Today, I wanted to answer some of your guys' questions related to at-home eyelash extensions. You guys leave me lots of great questions under the videos that I've made already on this topic. So today I wanted to go through some of the most commonly asked questions and also some of the most interesting ones because you guys really do ask great questions. And I figure if, one of you has this question, chances are somebody else does too. A lot of these things are things too that I had to work through when I first started doing my own eyelash extensions at home. So I think all of these things together make it worth making a video about. If you guys see me looking down at all in the video, it's because I have my laptop on my lap so that I don't forget any of the questions you guys have and any of the answers or things I wanted to touch on when I'm responding to you guys. So without further ado, first question comes from Jamie. Jamie says, "Hi Marin, thanks for your video. I tried doing my lashes after watching your video. When I use the sealer, I get clear, crusty particles, even though I use a tiny bit. Do you have any solutions for that issue? Thank you." Jamie, you almost stumped me with your question. I really had to think about this one. So I know what you're talking about. Before I forget, the lashes I'm wearing today, so these are going to be from LASH LINX. These are going to be their new H2 styles. So H stands for hybrid at LASH LINX. I do have a code for 10% off and a link that you can use if you want to get the 10% off. I'll put those in the description down below. All right, Jamie, you almost stumped me. I was like, I know what you're talking about. I've definitely had that, but I just couldn't think of what made that happen and what to tell you as advice. And if you guys are like, what are you guys talking about? Well, lucky you, you've never experienced this, but also we're not talking about a piece of fuzz or a piece of lint in your lashes. This is more like you have chunks of glue almost, or chunks of the sealer that's just sort of forming these crusts. I've actually also had it happen with these kind of clear sealant type coats that it ends up turning white over the matter of a couple days. Like, it's super weird, but what will happen is like this line, really the closest part to my actual eyeball, which is where I apply the clear seal, will kind of get like a whitish cast. It's kind of like if you've ever glued something back together that was broken and like it says that the glue is supposed to dry clear so that you're not supposed to be able to see it at all, but then you like kind of can see it because it just doesn't dry quite fully clear. Like maybe it has a little bit of a white cast, or it just has like a different look than the rest of the, in this case, lash, or the rest of whatever you're gluing. And it's really frustrating because you're putting on this clear coat as a way to get more longevity out of your lashes, but you don't want to compromise the look. So I can totally see how this is a frustrating thing to have happened to you. So I was kind of brainstorming to see, okay, what was different when I've had that happen to me in the past versus, why do I not have that problem anymore? Because it's really been a long time since I've had that issue. So I came up with a couple of things, and that's when I was like, I need to make a video on this because this is going to be way too long for just a comment on YouTube. And also I think it's going to be helpful to explain it in words. My first suggestion for anybody in this situation would be to ask yourself, how's your longevity if you don't use the clear coat? So the clear coat is kind of an extender for me. So normally if I wouldn't use the clear coat, I would probably get 5 days wear out of my lashes. With the clear coat, I can get 6 to 7. All of this depends a little bit how much I'm working out, how much I'm showering, how humid the air is in the climate around me. There are a couple variables here, but in general, I do still get really good longevity out of the lashes. I think 5 days is quite a bit without using the clear coat at all. So that would be my first suggestion for you, is just to skip the clear coat. If you don't need it and you're getting good wear out of your lashes anyway, and it's causing you this much trouble, then it might just be worth it to skip that step entirely. Everybody's chemistry of their skin is a little bit different. Some people have more oily skin. Some people live in more moist climates. Some people live in more dry climates. All of this can kind of affect the sort of chemistry of your lashes there. I didn't even realize this until I traveled back to the East Coast for the first time after doing my own eyelash extensions. The East Coast is much more humid than where I'd been living out west, and I was noticing I was getting a lot shorter wear out of my lashes. Also, I was having the glue dry at different speeds there just because I think of that extra moisture in the air. It was making the glue dry slower, and it was making my lashes last a little bit shorter because I just think the extra moisture in the air works to maybe dissolve that bond a little bit faster. I'm not sure, I'm not a chemist, but that's kind of my theory on that. So there are a lot of factors, and that's not even taking into account everybody's own, individual chemistry that's going on in that area. My second suggestion for somebody in this situation would be experiment with your drying time between when you glue the lashes on, like when you actually do the lash application, and when you do the sealant coat. So don't do the sealant right away. Really let this set, let your lashes set. Sorry, I just did my lashes. So I'm like, really let this set. So I'm kind of letting my lashes set right now. And I did apply sealant already. But if I was struggling with this, maybe what I would experiment with is coming back a few hours later and doing that sealant coat. It's a lot less work than the actual application of the lashes. So you can put away all your lash stuff, just leave out that sealant stuff, and just experiment with if you give your lashes a little bit more time to set. If you do it a little bit later and not immediately after, does that change things for you? My third point for somebody in this situation would be, okay, you said you're already using very little, but use less. And I know that's going to sound super annoying, but I want to challenge you to use less. So there are some things in makeup where more is more. For example, if you want to really pump up your lashes with mascara, you're going to have to go in there, do another coat, do another coat, do another coat. Like we've all been there. You're going to have to layer it on to really get a very voluminous lash effect. No matter how your mascara is advertised, like no matter how fancy or expensive it is, or how it's advertised to be like the most voluminous mascara, I guarantee if you keep building on more of it, you will get a more pumped up lash look. There's other things in makeup though where more is not more. Actually, maybe less is more. For example, one thing I can think of is with foundation. There are times where I put on foundation and it just like doesn't look that good. I don't know. Like, I think it's usually when my skin is dry and then I start to get all these flakes on my skin. And what I really should do is just take off all the foundation, put on a really good moisturizer, and start again with foundation. What I do instead sometimes when I'm in a rush is I'll just put on more foundation. And more foundation does not correct that issue. Like in that situation, less is actually more, if that makes sense. So it's kind of weird because, in this eye area, we might be used to more is more, but with this kind of lash stuff here, that's actually not the case. Like you can do such a thing as over gluing, like using too much glue that it doesn't work anymore. And so the sealant thing is kind of the same thing. In the video that I originally made of the steps of how I apply my lashes, the sealant that I was using was probably an old bottle of sealant because I was traveling at the time. I made this in an Airbnb in California. This is actually one of the first videos I ever filmed. I filmed it between an Airbnb in California and an Airbnb in Joshua Tree. So I was traveling and I definitely didn't have a brand new thing of sealant with me. So you probably see in the video me going like over my eyes like, oh, this is just a little bit, right? But if I had a brand new bottle of sealant, I would want to like really wipe it on the sides almost of the bottle to get like the minimum amount of sealant that I could possibly get on there. And even then it might almost be too much. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's kind of like, when something's empty, you have to like really scrape it out, like the peanut butter jar, you have to really like scrape it out to get out some peanut butter. And at the beginning, it's just like, wow, this is like super easy. I can just get out peanut butter. So I want to challenge you in this situation to use even less than you think that you need to use. The last thing I want to say in response to this comment before I move on to another question is when I think back to the times where that was happening to me, I realized all of those times were times where I was using brands that were not Lash LINX or Lashify. Those are the two brands that I have had the most luck with doing this. I have tried other ones. For my channel, you wouldn't necessarily know that because the only ones I've made videos on are Lash LINX and Lashify. But I have tried other ones, and those are the ones where I struggled more with their clear coats. I would actually be very interested to try those brands again now that I'm a little bit better at applying these lashes, because at the beginning, part of it also could have just been, I don't know what I'm doing. But I do think there is a part of it too that is just sort of individual eye chemistry. Just like you and your friend might have different skin types and not be able to use the same face wash and have the same results, there might be a little bit of that going on here with these sealant coats too, where it's just like this formulation might just not be the right one for you. And that's okay. That's totally fine. I mean, that's why there are so many different brands, because there is nothing that's right for everybody a lot of the time when it comes to makeup or skincare or beauty or really any of these things. Anyways, since this video is getting kind of long already, I think I'll split it here and then I'll continue with your questions in the next video. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn on the bell for notifications so that you're notified when I post those videos in the future. Anyways, Jamie and anybody else struggling with this issue, I hope this helps you. Let me know what you end up doing and what ends up working for you. I love to hear you guys' experiences with these lashes. I do read all the comments. I do eventually respond to all of them. I've been dealing with some health related things last few, unfortunately, months, but I am still very committed to keeping up the channel, responding to your guys' questions when I can, and making more lash content in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, YouTube.